Hello and welcome to NFL and I. My name is Johnny and today we are going to be discussing the NFC North in the NFL. Before we get started though, make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at NFL and I, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you find any of the content on the channel interesting or entertaining. The NFC North is home to one of the best players in the NFL and last year's MVP in Aaron Rodgers from the Green Bay Packers. It is also home to one of the most dangerous offenses all around in the NFL. It is also home to an up-and-coming young rookie who everybody is excited to see. And finally, it is the home of the Detroit Lions. The Packers last year, as expected, stormed the division with a record of 13-3. Kind of everybody expected this, so that's no real shock. The Chicago Bears just about made the playoffs with an 8-8 record after some good performances and some dodgy ones. So they'll be looking to improve this year. The Minnesota Vikings were disappointing last year. Their offense is stacked this year, but their defense kind of needs a bit of work to it because it's really not that great. They have some star players, but we'll get into that a little bit later on. And finally, the Detroit Lions finished bottom with a record of 5-11, which was probably better than a lot of people expected them to do and is better than what I expected them to do anyway. The 2021 NFC North has so many interesting stories this year. Will Aaron Rodgers play for the Green Bay Packers? Will Davante Adams be one of the most dangerous weapons in the entire NFL if Rodgers doesn't play? Will Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook put together a playoff run for the Minnesota Vikings? Let's find out. So we're going to get started with the Green Bay Packers. So the Green Bay Packers currently have the MVP of the entire NFL as their quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. But well, they did as of 2020 because at the minute nobody kind of knows if Rodgers is going to play or if he's not after a dispute with the backroom staff of the Green Bay Packers. It is a difficult one to kind of assess for the Packers because a lot of their success does rely on Rodgers playing because he is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play in the NFL, so if he doesn't play, that harms their chances. Last season with Rodgers, they won 13 regular season games and only lost 3. And his performance over the campaign last year really was worthy of MVP. So hopefully he comes back and the Green Bay Packers can put together a playoff run again this year. In the 2021 season, the Packers' success really depends on whether Aaron Rodgers plays. With Rodgers, they will finish top, but if they start Jordan Love over him, then I'm not so sure because he doesn't seem to be up to the quality that A, the Packers were expected, and B, that everybody else expected either. Obviously, Rodgers needs to play, but he needs people to pass to, and they have one of the best wide receivers in the entire NFL in Davante Adams, who last year was probably the best wide receiver in the entire league. Some of the plays he made were incredible, and with Rodgers finding them deep, they were pretty much unstoppable through most of the season. Rodgers also had tight end Robert Tonyan to throw to as well, who made some big performances last year as well. He got a few touchdowns to his name, and it was kind of like a breakout year for him, as previously he didn't really do as much as last year. The Packers run game as well has Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, who are both good running backs. They're not quite as strong as the Browns running backs duo, but Aaron Jones is a serious running back, and I think he'll have a big year this year, especially if Rodgers doesn't play. If Rodgers comes back, the Packers are a Super Bowl contender, as they are every year with Rodgers. He's just that good. But if they start Jordan Love, then I'm not really sure about that. The Packers defense also has some incredible players, mainly, undoubtedly, Jair Alexander, who is their cornerback, and who has been a feature of the Packers defense for years. Adrian Amos and Za'Darius Smith also add a lot of experience in and around the defensive line and backfield, which they kind of need, as their secondary was a major problem in the playoffs last year. Every time Brady took a snap, he looked for it long against them in the playoffs. And, they can't really afford to be giving up big plays like that, which kind of ruined the back end of their season last year. They have gone about trying to fix this, though, because they have drafted Eric Stokes from Georgia, who is a cornerback, who looks to be, a promising young corner, but whether he can live up to the standards of Jair Alexander, it's yet to be seen. Whether this change makes the Packers a Super Bowl team, I'm not too sure, but fingers crossed, because I like a lot of their players. I'm not a fan of the Packers, but I do like the way they play, and I like Rodgers and Davante Adams, so fingers crossed they can put together a run to the playoffs. I mean, they will always be a playoff team, but that is with Aaron Rodgers on their side. If Jordan Love is the starting QB in 2021, the Packers might struggle a wee bit, especially in the tougher games. But I'm going to give the Packers a record of 14-3 with Aaron Rodgers. and a record of 11-6 without Aaron Rodgers, with Jordan Love instead. Next we come on to the Minnesota Vikings, who have one of the best young players and one of the best running backs on their roster. Although they have a lot of attacking options, the Minnesota Vikings were disappointing last year. They can't get away from that. They only finished the season with 7 wins, which they really should have got more because they're just that good on offense. And they got 9 defeats as well, which left them 3rd in the division and outside of the playoffs. This is something they'll be looking to improve on this year. The Minnesota Vikings have one of the most dangerous and explosive offenses in the entire NFL. And on their day, they can be a match for any defense, no matter where it comes from in the NFL. Wide receivers Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen provide massive deep threats for QB Kirk Cousins, who has the arm strength as we saw last year to find them both. And they also have running back Dalvin Cook, who has a legitimate claim to be in the top 2 or top 3 running backs in the entire NFL as well. There was times last year where he put the entire offense on his back and just ran, and he was one of the best at it in the entire NFL. He's almost like a more elusive Derrick Henry, who kind of destroyed the whole league last year, and the same as with Dalvin Cook. Cook is prone to injury though, so the Vikings will be hopeful he can stay fit and healthy throughout the entire 2021 NFL season, which will give them the best chance to advance to the playoffs at the end of the regular season. The Vikings have strengthened their offensive line this year, there's no doubt about it, through the draft by picking Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech, I think it is, with the 23rd pick in the 2021 NFL draft. He will be looking to provide, time for Kirk Cousins to find Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson, but also to provide gaps for Dalvin Cook to explode through to try to win a few games. The Minnesota Vikings defense is usually quite strong, but they did have some big gaps in the 2020 season. Their defensive stars, they have 2 of them really. They have Danielle Hunter, who plays defensive end, who this year has been joined by defensive tackle from the Giants, Dalvin Tomlinson. Eric Kendricks and rookie Chaz Surratt will be looking to form an effective partnership in the linebacker place as well, with Kendricks hoping to take Surratt under his wing and kind of get him up to NFL speed really quickly. Harrison Smith is also a standout safety in the NFL. He kind of needs support back there because he can't cover the entire field by himself, although he is capable of making big plays, but he needs another bit of help back there, especially for the deep balls on the other side of the field to where he is. If the Vikings are to be a threat in the NFL this year, they need to sort out their defense, as it let them down. Their offense is explosive, it's probably one of the best in the entire NFL when you look at the individual players, but their defense is the thing that lets them down time and again. I think the Vikings are in a great place this year to get to the playoffs. I think they will improve on their record from last year, and they will go 10-7. I think that their offense will help them beat a lot of teams around the NFL, but it's their defense that I'm a bit worried about. But I think they will go on to beat the Chicago Bears to make it to second place and get through to the playoffs. The third team we're going to cover is the Chicago Bears. So last season, the Chicago Bears managed to sneak into the playoffs with a record of 8-8, which I think was one of the worst amongst the teams that actually got through to the playoffs. The Bears started the season last year with QB Mitchell Trubisky taking all the snaps, and he led the Bears to a 5-1 record through the first 6 games, but then they went on to win only 3 more games that season, which kind of cost Trubisky his job, as he was replaced by Nick Foles, who came in to kind of lead them into the playoffs, and they finished with an 8-8 record in the season last year. The Bears will be hoping for better this year and will be looking to improve their record and hopefully beat the Minnesota Vikings into the second place in the Nfc North. In the 2021 draft, the Bears selected one of the best QBs in college last year in Justin Fields. Bears fans will be hoping that he will be the man to elevate them to the NFC heavyweights, but he is unlikely to be starting in the first few weeks. That role appears to have been given to former Bengals and former Cowboys quarterback Andy Dalton, who joined in the offseason. And it could be a similar arrangement to what Tua and Ryan Fitzpatrick had at the Dolphins last year, where Fitzpatrick would start the first few games, and then around the bye week, whenever that is for the Bears, then Justin Fields will come in and take the team on from there, with Andy Dalton kind of on the bench just in case Fields gets injured or if Fields is having a pretty bad game. In terms of weapons for either quarterback which starts, they have a good wide receiver core. They have players like Anthony Miller, Allen Robinson and Darnell Mooney, and also the backfield talents of Tariq Cohen as well, who has the potential to be one of the top 10 running backs in the league if he plays well enough. The Bears do have strength in their offense, which they hope will push them towards a playoff space in the 2021 NFL season. The defense of the Bears has one of the best pass rushers in the entire NFL, an outside linebacker, Khalil Mack, who is always a sack threat for the Bears. He has been unstoppable in recent years and can claim to be in the top 3 pass rushers in the NFL alongside TJ Watt and Aaron Donald. Desmond Trufant and Akeem Hicks also provide good experience for the Bears on defense, which is never a bad thing. If the Bears can develop their defense, they could be in for a good year as well, as they showed last year with the likes of Mack playing for them, that they can stop teams if they need to, but they need help as well. They can't just rely on Khalil Mack to get sacks. They need another, star pass rusher in the defense somewhere. If the Bears can develop their defensive scheme this year, they could end up winning a lot of games, as their offense has the potential to be one of the most explosive in the NFC in the 2021 season. For me, the Bears will have a winning record, but I have them down to go 9-8, but whether this is enough to make the playoffs, I'm not too sure. Fingers crossed Fields can develop the potential that he showed in college to become one of the best NFL quarterbacks in years to come. Finally, we move on to the Detroit Lions, who were the weakest franchise in the NFC North last year. Last year, they had quarterback Matthew Stafford leading the offense, and he is the reason why they won 5 games in the 2020 season. He is an outstanding quarterback, and a lot of people say that he is one of the best in the entire NFL, which, considering he's playing for Detroit, kind of is a massive credit to him. But in the 2021 offseason, he was traded to the LA Rams in exchange for Jared Goff. The Detroit Lions also traded away Kenny Golladay, or I think he went on a free agent, to the New York Giants, who kind of needed a wide receiver. So that's not just their star quarterback that the Detroit Lions have lost, but also their star wide receiver as well. So it is a worrying times for the Detroit Lions, but Jared Goff can have a few good days. He just can't read the defense very well, and they also have star running back DeAndre Swift as well. I think he could lead the Detroit Lions to a few wins this year, and I think he has the potential to be, a top 5 or top 10 rusher this year as well, because Jared Goff, as we have seen, is not the best thrower in the NFL. Goff does have other targets in the offense, such as tight end TJ Hawkinson, and also wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown, who they drafted in the 2021 NFL draft. The Lions offense is going to struggle this year. The only question is how much they are going to struggle. The Lions defense is something that new head coach Dan Campbell has been looking to improve, as this will form the bedrock of everything he does as head coach of the Detroit Lions. At the minute, the Lions don't have any standout players really. I'm a fan of Jelani Tavai and think he's in for a good season at linebacker. He has the potential to disrupt offenses and crush offensive run games. So fingers crossed he can do that for the Lions this year. Trey Flowers is a great defensive end, and Jeff Okudah is a great option at cornerback as well, who's going into his second year in the NFL and who will be looking to improve on his stats from last year. The Lions are missing a decent safety as well, which is a bit of a problem because a lot of the QBs in the NFL now are capable of going long, and this will catch the Lions defense out, unfortunately, for this year. The Lions are going to struggle this year. I have them down for a 5-12 record in the 17 game long season, which will put them bottom of the NFC North anyway. Maybe not the NFC in its entirety, but definitely in the NFC North. So my final predictions for the 2021 NFC North are the Green Bay Packers come on top by a mile, then the Minnesota Vikings, closely followed by the Chicago Bears, and finally in last place will be the Detroit Lions. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know down in the comments below, or you can let me know on Twitter or Instagram at NFLNI. I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again very soon.